Hare Krishna, Dhira Govinda, you are muted.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Vainam namaskritya naram chaiva navottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudivaya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should first offer respectful obeisances to the personality of God and Narayan, to Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Pradeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Seveya Bhagavat Utama Shloki Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, entitled Purusha Shukta Confirmed. We're on text 24. Text 24, Chapter 6 of Canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. Today is Friday, May 1st, 2020. So text 24. Teshu Yagyasya Pashava Savanaspataya Kusha Idam Cha Devayajanam Kala Cha Uru Guna Andita Teshu Yagyasya Pashava Savanas Pataya Kusha Idam Cha Deva Yajanam Kalascho Gunanvita Teshu Yagyasya Pashava Savanas Pataya Kusha Idam Cha Deva Yajanam Kalascho Gunanvita Teshu Yagyasya Pashava Savanas Pataya Kusha Idam Cha Deva Yajanam Kalascho Gunanvita
Teshu Yagyasya Pashava
Teshu Yagyasya Pashava Savanas Pataya Kusha Idam Cha Deva Yajanam Kalascho Gunanvita
Teshu Yagyasya Pavashava
Teshu Yagyasya Pashava
Savanas Pataya Kusha
Savanas Pataya Kusha
Idam Chadeva Yajanam
Idam Cha Deva Yajanam
Kalash Choru Gunanvata
Kalascho Gunanvita. Hare Krishna, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 6, Text 24. If someone on internet would like to recite the verse.
Teshu Yagyasya Pashava Savanas Pataya Kushaha Idam Chadeva Yajanam Kalascho Gunanvita
Teshu Yagyasya Pashava Savanas Pataya Kushaha Idam Shadeva Yajanam Kalascho Gunanvita
Teshu Yagyasya Pashava
Teshu yagyasya pashava
Savanaspataya Kushaha
Avanaspataya kushaha
Idam Shadivaya Janam
Idam chadevaya janam
Chogu Gunamvitaha
Kalaschoru gunanvitaha
Teshu yagyasya pashava
Yajasya Pashava
Savanaspataya kusha
Savanaspataya Kusha
Idam chadevaya janam
Idam Chadevaya Janam
Kalascharu gunanvita
Kalaschoru gunanvita. Okay, we'll go to the word for word. Teshu. In such sacrifices. Yagyasya. Of the sacrificial performance. Pashava. The animals or the sacrificial ingredients. Savanaspataya. Along with flowers and leaves. Kusha. The straw. Idam. All these. Cha. As also. Deva Yajanam. The sacrificial altar. Kala. A suitable time. Cha. As also. Uru. Great. Guna Anvita. Qualified. Translation. For performing sacrificial ceremonies, one requires sacrificial ingredients such as flowers, leaves, and straw, along with the sacrificial altar and a suitable time, spring. And there's no purport there, so I'm going to read text 25. Text 25. Vastunyosha daya sneha rasaloha mido jalam Vicho yajum shi samani chaturhotram cha satama. Vastuni utensils, oshadaya grains, sneha clarified butter, rasa loha midha honey gold and earth, jalam water, richa the Rig Veda, yajumsi the Yajur Veda, samani the Sama Veda, chaturhotram 4 persons conducting the performance. Cha, all these. Satama, O most pious one. Purport, translation. Other requirements are utensils, grains, clarified butter, honey, gold, earth, water, the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, and Sama Veda, and 4 priests to perform the sacrifice. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. To perform a sacrifice successfully, at least 4 expert priests are needed. One who can offer, hota, one who can chant, udgata, one who can kindle the sacrificial fire without the aid of separate fire, adbaryu, and one who can supervise, Brahma. Such sacrifices were conducted from the birth of Brahma, the first living creature, and were carried on till the reign of Maharaj Yudhisthira. But such expert Brahmin priests are very rare in this age of corruption and quarrel, and therefore in the present age, only the yagya of chanting the holy name of the Lord is recommended. The scriptures enjoin Harinam, 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 Eva Kevalam, 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 Nasteva, Gatir Anyata. Om again Timirandasya Gananjana Shalaka Chakshud Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Upakadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Scha Shri Upam Sugrajatam Saganaraganatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sarvetam Sabudutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Visakan Vitam Scha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanosate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatiyubhyascha Krita Sindhubhyevacha Patitanan Pavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini. Okay. So this Lord Brahma speaking to his son and disciple Narada Muni, talk about sacrificial ceremonies and different requirements. Prabhupada starts the purport to text 25. He says, to perform a sacrifice successfully, at least 4 expert priests are needed. One who can offer a hota. So a hota, yeah, I don't really know what that means. One who can chant Udgata, I'm not sure what the Udgata chants. One who can kindle the sacrificial fire without the aid of separate fire. Advarya, it means like one who can start a fire with like mantra, like, you know, without matches or something. Even with matches, it's challenging. I mean, anyhow, it's a whole thing. So, okay, so there's a lot described here in the translations and the purport, and what Prabhupada is sharing is telling us. He's saying like, you don't really need to worry about all this stuff, and you know, from my point of view, that's good. And so he's saying the main. He said, look, the main thing, not even the main thing. He's saying all of this sacrifice stuff, and there's very intricate, extensive Vedic, like the whole the Yajur Veda. It's like 1/4 of the Vedas of the Yajur Veda. It's about yajna. It's about sacrifice, and there's so much described and so much intricacy. And the goal of it all is Harinam, Eva Kevalam, Kulam, Nisteva, Gatir, Anyata. Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. See, so, because like, okay, so this is for like other ages, these different sacrifices. But even in other ages, the goal of it all is to come to chant the names of Krishna. That's the goal. So, so Prabhupada, he's, you know, we might, like, when I started reading this about different sacrificial ingredients, different types of priest, like, I kind of knew it's predictable. Prabhupada's going to go to chant Hare Krishna, right? Predictable in not in a sense of like mechanical, predictable in the sense of these principles of the Bhagavatam. The principles are secure and sheltering and unchangeable. The principles are secure, sheltering, unchangeable. Right? And now the application, like Prabhupada often makes the point, Krishna consciousness is never stereotyped. It's never stagnant. It's never boring. It's never use the word. It's never hackneyed. So the principles are universal, inviolable, a safe shelter. And that's a matchless gift. That's a matchless gift to actually have principles that are inviolable and a safe shelter. And the application of them, for one who realizes them, the application of them are always dynamic and colorful. So I'm reminded in reading this, when Prabhupada when he officially opened the Krishna Balaram temple in Vrindavan, then he 1975, and he arranged an official ornate Vedic sacrifice for opening temples. He didn't do that in other parts of the world. But in Vrindavan, he thought in order to kind of please the local religious class, for them to take it seriously, he should do something like that. And it went on for a week, and there was big fire yagyas, and there was I'm sure lots of hotas and udgatas, and then Varyus and Brahmas who supervised the whole thing. Okay, and so they did it. But then Prabhupada made the comment, which I mean, I'm sure many of them regarded as subversive. Prabhupada made the comment, the real installation, the real opening was that his disciples were chanting Hare Krishna Maha, were doing Sankirtan, Harinam Sankirtan. He said that was the real sacrifice. It's described in the Bhagavatam. Krishna Varnam Trisha Krishnam Sango Pangashtra Parshtam Yages and Yages and Kirtana Prayer Yajantihi Sumed Asa. That actually spiritually intelligent persons, particularly in this age, they're going to perform the yagya. Yagya means sacrifice, the yagya of the age, and that's Sankirtan. Kirtan means to glorify. It means to glorify God. Really, sometimes Prabhupada describes it means to describe. And so Sankirtan means that we completely dedicate our life to glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's the bliss of the soul. Right here, looking at the computer, got Ramachandra here, Keith there, and then on the wall, there's the picture of Lord Chaitanya and his associates, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Sri Gadadhar, and Srivas Thakur. It's called the Panchatattva, and they're in the streets of Navadvip doing Sankirtan, chanting, singing Hare Krishna. So that's the yagya, especially recommended for this age. It's powerful in every age. And in other ages, like there were people qualified to do these sorts of yagyas. In other ages, there were yogis who could sit for 60,000 years and meditate and like that. And the goal of all that meditation, just like the goal of the sacrifice, is to come to chant Hare Krishna with love and devotion. The goal is bhakti. But in this age, those other processes, they just become a farce and a joke anyway. I mean, pretty much, like that. So this chanting Hare Krishna, which is the goal of all the processes all the time, this is described in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna talks about yagya a lot. Talks about yagya. He says, yagyanam japa yagyosmi. He says, of all sacrifices, I am japa. I am chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra japa. Means all sacrifices culminate in chanting japa, chanting kirtan, chanting japa, chanting the names of Krishna. So that's the goal of all the sacrifices. I'm thinking also in the when they opened, when Prabhupada not opened, what in 1972, when he laid the cornerstone for the temple of Iskon Mayapur in the Chandrodaya Mandir. So he also arranged a sacrifice, a yagya, fire yagya, and he had many of his sannyas godbrothers were there. Many of his sannyas godbrothers were there, and many of his sannyas disciples were there in 1972. And so they did a whole yagya, and I'm sure they had the Udgatan and Varyu and all of that, and like that. And then Prabhupada spoke, and then he stopped speaking. He goes, he wanted someone else to speak, and then he said, Malati, you speak. So that's, Malati was one of his first female disciples. So that completely violates all the standard regulations. And it's described that, especially his, even his disciple sannyasis and his godbrother sannyasis, at least many of them, they were just appalled. They were shocked. He was asking a young woman to speak at this.
Before them?
Before them, exactly. Yeah, Prabhupada spoke, then he wanted someone else to be like the featured speaker. Malati, you speak. And Prabhupada knew what he was doing, and he knew the shockwaves he was creating, okay? Because he's completely fixed in the principles, and he knows how to adjust the details. right? Because a woman speaking at such an event with all these sannyasis, like sannyasis who were like, could be her great-grandfather, and he asked Malini to speak. Okay, so that's a detail. That doesn't violate a principle. It adjusts the detail. Okay. So Prabhupada closes this purport with the Harinam verse. This is a very well-known verse. Harinam, 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 it Kevalam, come on, stave, especially in this age, all the time, and especially in this age of Kali, chanting the names of Hari, chanting the names of God. And so, we use this term a lot. We use this term a lot, the current link, which means like the Vedas are vast. There's so much going on in the name of Vedas. And there's Neo-Vedanta, and there's, go to the yoga studio, Veda. Okay. So, all right. So we can ask, well, who compiled the Vedas? Who wrote the Vedas? Krishna describes Vedeshta Saver Hame Vevedu Vedachvedvedvedevacha. Krishna says, I compiled the Vedas. I'm the goal of the Vedas. Well, we don't hear about Krishna like taking a pen or a keyboard or anything like that and writing. So Krishna compiled. That's what the term write. We sometimes say write the Vedas because that's the common terminology. Who wrote the book? Okay. But in a sense, it's not really the proper term because this Vedic knowledge, this Vedic wisdom, it's eternal. And so it's like taking this eternal knowledge and putting it down in writing. And that's Sri Krishna in the form of his literary incarnation, Srila Vyasadeva. That's how Krishna wrote the Vedas. And so Vyasadeva wrote the Vedas, and then the Vedas contain extensive, complete information about all fields of human endeavor. And then he wasn't satisfied because he knew that people would miss the point. And so he compiled the Vedanta Sutra, which is the essence in codes. Of course, the essence is there in Bhagavad Gita, and that's why Prabhupada gave us Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, it's 18 chapters. It's one tiny part in like a 6,000 page epic called the Mahabharata. So if Vyasadeva was concerned, people would miss it. And then the Vedanta Sutra, it's also these kind of complex codes that takes a lot of intelligence to figure out. So then he gave his own commentary on the Vedanta Sutra in this Srimad Bhagavatam. And so the Srimad Bhagavatam, this is the summary essence of the Vedas by the compiler of the Vedas. It's so important. So important. So Sri Prabhupada gave it. And so our disciplic succession is Sri Krishna, Brahma, Narada Muni, Sri Vyasadeva, down on, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a combined appearance of Radha and Krishna, Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Radha, Krishna, Nayanya appear in our own disciplic succession. And then Srila Prabhupada's our current link, which means we understand Vyasadeva, we understand the 6 Goswamis, we understand the previous acharyas through our current link. Prabhupada's especially empowered to say, for you to cleanse your heart, for you to advance, for you to progress, for you to come out of drowning in the ocean of material existence, here's what's particularly important for you. And he gives us those guidelines. And then we get to apply our sincerity and intelligence to follow them. Otherwise, without being very clear on our current link, we can go here and there, Vedic this, Vedic that, yoga, this and that, and maybe make a glimpse of progress, and then maybe a few decades of confusion in the name of this and that. So we can be very grateful. We have Srila Prabhupada as our current and direct link to the parampara. And he takes verses like this and says, here's what's important for you. It's not necessarily about, at all your functions, having a properly trained udgata. Or like, if you don't have someone who can light fire without matches or a lighter, then you're finished. Just forget it. We might think that if we just read this on our own. Okay. So Srila Prabhupada is saying, here's what's important for you. He's empowered to do that. We don't need to trust blindly. We can give ourselves to the process given to us by Prabhupada and see if we experience the results. This process is directly experienced as Srila Prabhupada gives us in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna describes that we don't need to it's not abstract. We practice the process, we have an experience of change of heart. Change of heart. That's real religion. It's not, do you believe this, do you believe that? So, so the principle is yagya. This term yagya is used here in the verse. It means there's japa yagya, kirtan yagya, yagya and kirtana prayer. And so even like, it's described in Bhagavad Gita, yagya sista shanta vuchante sarvakilbisha vuchante te tragam papam ye pachantya karanat. Yagya shista. So it describes, Krishna describing that one, he doesn't even talk about whether vegetarian or not vegetarian. He just says one who eats without first offering the food in yagya, in sacrifice, is eating sin. Yes, if we're eating food that's the result of an animal dying in agony, then it's more severe sin. But even if we eat vegetarian diet without first offering it in yagya, then we eat sin. Otherwise, patram pushpam palam toyam yome bhaktya upashuja tadaham bhakti paratam ashtami prayatatmana. Krishna says, if one offers the food, if one prepares it and offers it to me, says Krishna, and he says what he likes, fruit, flour, like that, vegetables, dairy products. He says, if one offers to me in love and devotion, I accept it. Then we engage the eating process in the process of purification, in the process of transformation of consciousness and coming out of the bodily conception of life and entering spiritual conception. Yes, Hare Krishna. There we go. Hare Krishna. So Prabhupada, I'm appreciating in reading this. He's giving us the essence and the practical application. His essence and I'm especially appreciating that. He's giving us the essential principles and our practical application. Prabhupada conducted fire yagyas at weddings, initiation ceremonies. And like in terms of initiation, Prabhupada made it very clear. He's giving us the Vedic essence, the Vedic conclusion, that the essence of the process of initiation is Shravanam Kirtan, is chanting and hearing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There's a pastime in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita with kind of it's quite an intense yet humorous pastime with Lord Chaitanya is traveling in South India and he meets some Buddhist. Those like that. And anyhow, the kind of head of the Buddhist group was envious of Lord Chaitanya, and a whole pastime ensues. And at the one point, a big bird takes an offering plate, flies in the air and drops it, and falls on the chief Buddhist's head, and he's like knocked out.
I think that was their own offering plate that they brought to Lord Chaitanya.
Yeah, they were exactly. Okay, and so his disciples were very scared, and then Lord Chaitanya just leads them, chant Hare Krishna for your teacher here, chant Hare Krishna. And Prabhupada, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami and Srila Prabhupada, they make it very clear. They say, they say Lord Chaitanya initiated these Buddhists. I mean, they're, we could give them a label Buddhist, but they're spirit souls. And Lord Chaitanya initiated them by inspiring them to chant Hare Krishna. Okay. So that was the initiation, right? So the initiation is not dependent on any particular ceremony. On the first page of the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the introduction to the first chapter of Adi Leela, Prabhupada writes that Jagannath Das Babaji initiated Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur initiated Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji. Now we know historically between either of those pairs there was never any official ceremony of initiation. It's just a historical fact. But yet Prabhupada uses the word, he initiated them. Because the essence of initiation, just like we sing every morning at Guru Puja, Divyagan, Chakudana Diloye, Janme Janme Prabhu say, Divyagan Ride Pokashito. He opens my eyes with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord birth after birth. So Divyagan, that's the essence of the process of initiation. Initiation, it's not a formal rite. It's a transformational process. It's a transformational process for which the consciousness, the soul is transformed from misidentification with matter to identification as a pure spirit soul serving Krishna with love and devotion. It's a transformational process. And the essence of that process is the spiritual master giving transcendental knowledge which transforms the heart of the disciple. And as aspiring disciples, we qualify ourselves. We endeavor to qualify ourselves to be eligible for that transformational, transcendental knowledge by humbly performing devotional service, humbly asking questions to deepen our knowledge, and humbly performing devotional service. And in that tabbiti pranipatina pariprashnena sevya upadakshani taking from Ganinas Tafadarshina. And by humbly rendering service, then that awesome transcendental knowledge is revealed to our heart. That's the process. And as we sometimes say, this chanting Hare Krishna, the mood of the chant is it's a prayer. My dear Lord Krishna, please engage me in your service. It's a prayer, and simultaneously it's the answer to a prayer. Okay, please engage me in service. How can I engage in service? Chant Hare Krishna. The chanting itself is the foundational service. And even I have, I could say I have hundreds of experiences, maybe thousands, where like chanting japa in the morning, I get clear understanding and realization of how to handle a service I have during the day. Something that like I could sit at my desk and think about it and it wouldn't come to me in a million years. But sometimes chanting for 10 seconds, a few mantras of japa, Hare Krishna, and it gets revealed in the heart. So that's the essence of the process of initiation, and that's I don't want to appear to be disparaging these formal ceremonies, because like, for example, as far as let's say the formal ceremony of initiation, it's not necessary. And at the same time, when done properly, it's transcendental, it's powerful. So I don't want to minimize that. It's not essential, and when done properly, it's transcendental, it's powerful. Just like Brahma speaking to Narada about some details of some program requiring clarified butter, honey, gold, a priest who can light fire without matches or lighters, etc., etc. And so I'm not meaning in any way to disparage that. Brahma is sharing that with Narada Muni for a reason. These are very powerful processes. And Prabhupada's saying, okay, for you, the distilled essence, the cream of the cream for you is chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the more we do that, then the more we the more we progress in that process of initiation. I mean, we could compare initiation. Well, I think it's a metaphor that works in some ways. Yeah, that like if we're boiling milk on the stove. So let's say we just put the stove on, and then we're here, and we go, oh yeah, the milk's boiling. Now the milk hasn't reached the boiling point, but still, we could say the milk's boiling, which means it's in the process. It's in the process of boiling. Then there's a point. Actually, I don't know the exact temperature that milk boils, but whatever it is. But then there's a point where it's like actually at that. Okay, then we can say, oh, now the milk's boiling. Okay, and then even at that point, it keeps going. So an important point, because sometimes there's misunderstanding that initiation is an event. Okay, but there is an event, and at the same time, that event is a transcendental yet non-essential part of the process of initiation. And the process of Diksha, Divyagan, the process of initiation, that's completely required to free ourselves from the bondage of the material modes of nature, and to grow our bhakti lata beach. Evupe brahmanda brahmite kona bhagavajiva Guru Krishna Prasadi Paya Bhakti Lata Beach. Bhakti Lata Beach, which means the seed of devotional service. The seed of devotional service. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajika Bunoi Shravanadi Shvinichite Karye Udai. Love of Krishna is eternally situated in the hearts of all living entities. And through this process of chanting and hearing, it is awakened. And we engage in this process of chanting and hearing through following and serving our current link to the Parampara, Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, without that, then yeah, we might touch upon something here and there. But if we want to make steady, solid advancement, then it's required to give ourselves commitment to the process. I think I'll pause there. So these verses read, Teshu yagyasya pashava savanas pataya kusha idam cha deva yajanam kalascho gunanvita. For performing sacrificial ceremonies, one requires sacrificial ingredients, such as flowers, leaves, and straw, along with the sacrificial altar and suitable time, spring. Vastunyo shadaya sneha rasaloha mido jalam vicho yajumshi samani chatur hotram chasatama. Other requirements are utensils, grains, clarified butter, honey, gold, earth, water, the Rig Veda, Yajurveda, and Samaveda, and 4 priests to perform the sacrifice. Hare Krishna, thanks for your presence and attention. I welcome at this time if anyone has questions or comments. Ramachandra.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Haribol.
Thank you for the lecture. It really touched many points that I was delivering in my heart and mind throughout the years. We have so many sacrifices in human society, especially in the Krishna consciousness movement, either that's marriage, initiation, and so many types of initiation. And what comes to me, the purpose of having any sort of sacrifice is taking, as I understand it correctly, maybe you can reflect on that it's to take responsibility really over, even the formalities, yes, I'm taking responsibility over my spiritual life. I make a vow following the principles, or marriage, I commit to this person for life, and things like that. And I see, what Prabhupada he puts forward, that there is an obstacle of being attached to these formalities. I even remember this, I will send it to all of you later, but Prabhupada mentions that someone who is too much attached to the formalities is actually a sign of a sajaism, something like that. I can find this quote later. But also there is an importance there in terms of putting forward the responsibility. And I can see so much importance in that, because on the plea, there's like a loophole there for me in my mind, that because I cannot follow certain formalities, I'm not going to take this responsibility. Let's say I cannot have a perfect Brahminical marriage, so I'm not going to marry. Or I cannot have a perfect Ritvik or a perfect guru, so I'm not going to take initiation and vow for life. Or so many other types of yagas and things which are needed. But on the other hand, I see the loophole from the other extreme that, okay, I don't need all these things, so I'm just going to surrender to the holy name, and that will be sufficient for me to take the responsibility. So my question is, like, where's the balance where I can actually understand that, okay, I followed, like for me, my case, if I speak about my scenario, what's going on for me now is that like neither my first initiation, neither my second initiation, I don't even know if I had any of these priests there, really. Especially for my second initiation, the person who did my second initiation, he wasn't like really even Brahminically initiated himself, and he did my Brahminical initiation. And I mean, we patched it up with different quotes of Prabhupada, because Prabhupada supports so many times what is real Brahmana and what is real whatever. But I'm still having this doubt in my mind, like, did I really receive the Bhakti Lata Bij? And is my name is really like this, the name that was given to me in initiation, is it really my name, or someone just concocted that on me or whatever? Like, I do feel really connected to my name, Ramachandra Das. Like yesterday I posted like on social media how the first kirtan I heard was about Hanuman and things like that, whatever. But I'm still like delivering, like, am I really connected to the parampara? Am I really taking responsibility over my spiritual life? Or I just neglected the formality on the plea of, the holy name is sufficient, kind of. You know what I mean?
I think I know where you're going with that.
Okay.
Thanks for your sharing and questions. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ramachandra. Well, in hearing, what you express, think of the principles given by Srila Rupa Goswami, that of course we get from Srila Prabhupada. And he describes items unfavorable for devotional service. Atyahara prayashastra prajapo niyamagraham. Atyahara means to collect too much. I mean, collect things, collect too much food in the belly. So these things are not favorable for spiritual life. And prajalpo means to gossip. Gossip means like useless talk that's not really deepening our understanding of truth. And then niyamagraha, as you know, it has two meanings. So niyamagraha, one is to whimsically neglect rules and regulations that will help us, that will interfere with our progress in Krishna consciousness. And the other is to blindly follow rules and regulations and not seeing the forest for the trees. Like, some could read this verse without the guidance of Prabhupada and go, okay, well, we need to collect a sacrificial altar, we need to get this and that. Okay, so it's the niyamagraha principle. And so I'm reminded also in hearing what you shared, there's a Vaikuntanath, he has one of the memories videos, and he was a book distributor, and he was in India, and he had some doubt. He shared this on the video. He had some doubt, and so just as he was having his doubt, Prabhupada was walking like right there on the steps of the Krishna realm. So he approached Prabhupada. He goes, Prabhupada, well, we distribute so many books, but how will they go back to Godhead? How will they advance if they're not initiated? So the way he describes it, Prabhupada turned, made eye contact, looked at him, and he said, just by reading my books, they're initiated. Just by reading my books, they are initiated. Okay, so focus on the essence. That's my recommendation. It's a focus on the essence to be that we follow Prabhupada and we serve his mission and we follow the sadhana he gave us. Not that like it's not like perfectly or nothing, but we make an encouragement. We with enthusiasm we follow and notice our shortcomings and endeavor to deepen our commitment. And that's the essence of initiation. That's the essence of initiation. And as far as the formalities, and as far
Follow
as
the commitment, you said?
yes, like to increase our commitment. Yeah, let me give up more sense gratification this year than last year, and let me spend more time hearing and chanting and sharing and distributing prasadam and on kirtan, and let me spend more time reading Prabhupada's books today than yesterday. Always increasing. So that's the essence of the process of initiation. And then that's, as far as the formalities, yeah, we don't really need to worry. We don't need to worry much. And then okay, so certainly, I don't know the details of the formalities of your initiation ceremonies, but Ramachandra Das is certainly a name that Srila Prabhupada would approve of. So I'm not saying don't go through another formal initiation if you have some particular inspiration.
That's what I was about to ask.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying don't. I can say it's definitely not necessary. But like if in your relationship with Prabhupada you have some particular inspiration, that's between you and Srila Prabhupada. But what I'm saying is like, okay, let's say whoever from whomever you got that name on behalf of Prabhupada. Now whatever he's doing, whatever he was doing, and whatever the shortcomings, and I don't know, maybe he was a really deviant person, maybe, I don't know, or maybe slight thing, whatever. But as far as the service of giving you the name on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, he did that service effectively. It's a bona fide Vaishnava name. He did that service effectively. Now again, if you have some reason in your relation with Prabhupada to go through another formal initiation ceremony, but again, I'm not saying don't, I'm not saying that would be wrong. At the same time, I'm sure it's not necessary, because whatever else that person was doing or is doing, he effectively did that service of giving you a name on behalf of Srila Prabhupada. He gave you a bona fide Vaishnava name.
And in terms of following the commitment, because let's say I had a fall down last year, and I'm like, if I contemplate, oh, maybe I had a fall down because I wasn't properly initiated. Maybe that's the cause of that. Like, should I reinitiate myself? Like, should I take another step to the redoing the initiation because of that, or?
Well, you can and should recommit yourself to your vows of initiation, and so should I. So should I. It's a good idea for me to recommit myself to my vows to Srila Prabhupada. That's a good idea. And again, as far as going through another formal ceremony of initiation, that's not necessary. I mean, if your mind makes it necessary, if you're following what I'm saying, like if your mind is like, has a self-defeating belief, like, well, I'm going to keep falling down till I get the proper formal initiation. Yeah. The mind is tricky, right? Then the mind finds excuses to this why, and then it's kind of a victim-y, disempowered consciousness. Because then even let's say if you went through another formal initiation, you might find some real or perceived fault about that one the next year. Yeah. Right? And you go, oh, that's why I keep falling down. So yeah, we we just don't put much weight on the formal aspect of the initiation process. As far as essentially, yeah, you should, and I should, recommit with deeper sincerity to my vows to Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the formal, yeah, I'm hearing your mind's trying to find some excuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Avoid the real responsibility.
Yeah.
On the plea of not having the formality set or
Yeah.
something. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was.
And I really like where you started sharing about yajna. It's about commitment. It's about formal commitment, responsibility. And so whether it's about a marriage or whether it's about the initiation ceremony, in someone's heart they might be completely committed, and there's something powerful, in front of the deities, in front of a group of Vaishnavas and visitors, to make it, here's my commitment to this person in marriage. Here's my commitment to my spiritual master. There's something especially powerful about that.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. I'm in the same position as you. I'm not first initiated either. Hare Krishna. I need to get first initiation maybe someday. We'll see.
Hare Krishna.
Becca.
So a question that is just more alive for me right now in your sharing today, Prabhu, is because when I was, I'd say probably about 26 years old, I was involved with an offshoot of like a self-realization fellowship, and I was learning this healing work with this group of people, and during I was going on like 2-week-long meditation retreats and things like that, and during that process we were introduced and learned and I was reading books on this female guru who was the guru of this group. She was in the UK, or maybe she still is, and I recall us having we had a ceremony. I don't remember it being called initiation ceremony, but there was a ceremony. She, like, this guru, like, gave us all like these like small tokens or gifts, and she like sent us a letter or message, and I remember my heart being very touched, like I was very moved. And then I remember the message that was given to us, that basically she will always be our guru, like she'll like that kind of thing. So I guess maybe I don't know if I was not fully present. I don't know why I don't remember all the details, and I don't believe it was presented as initiation, but based on some things that I'm remembering, it sounds like maybe perhaps that did happen. And I wonder, I'm just curious, like, I don't know how does that affect my process? Is that just like, oh, and like something addition, like, I don't know how to process that event in relationship to this event, to my initiation in August, and also with how I'm, my relationship with Prabhupada. It's like I did have a relationship with this female guru, and yeah, I'm wondering how it all, if there's anything to consider, anything to look at all. Maybe there's nothing. Maybe it's just like, okay, that was an event, and now here's another. Now now I'm taking, this initiation. I don't know. What do you? I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Okay, thanks for sharing, Rebecca. Well, My thoughts basically are, yeah, I'm here. You're not sure how to process. Like back when about 14, 15 years ago, something like that, you had this, maybe it was called initiation up, but you were involved with some, you know, spiritual group, and there was some ceremony initiation, and the idea clearly maybe stated was this, she is your eternal guru, something like that. Okay. Yeah, okay. So no, you don't need to, it doesn't need to be any consideration. For example, you know, like Srila Prabhupada's guru was Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, and he got formal initiation from Bhakti Siddhanta. Srila Prabhupada said the real initiation was 1922 when he accepted the mission of Bhakti Siddhanta. And he said then formally got initiated in 1933. Okay. But you know, when Prabhupada was like 12, he had another initiation. Prabhupada, he had a family in front, there was like a family guru, and he initiated Prabhupada. So Prabhupada had it was like a formal initiation ceremony. But you know, so it wasn't a mental thing for Prabhupada. What does this mean? It just, you know, Prabhupada didn't regard it very seriously. He didn't regard it very seriously. His parents arranged something, they had a family guru like that. Okay, but then the meaningful, substantial initiation in a bona fide Vaishnava parampara, that was with Bhakti Siddhanta, essentially and formally for Srila Prabhupada. So I'm just using an example, but Prabhupada at 12 years old had some formal initiation, kind of like we would call it a bar mitzvah or something like that. It was like a formal thing, you know. He didn't regard it very seriously. So of course, Rebecca, you're free to process it how you want. And I'm saying you don't need in any way to let that be any sort of mental or emotional or spiritual issue in receiving formal initiation from Srila Prabhupada. You don't need to. That, okay, maybe this female guru from England, she supported you and helped you along the way in your journey, and you can be forever indebted to her. You can be forever indebted to her. And now, in 4 years, now you're dedicating your life to your eternal father, to your eternal guru, Srila Prabhupada. And as far as other teachers, gurus, mentors you've had, sure, you can be forever indebted to them. We should be. We should be forever indebted to them. And then like yeah, and then that doesn't interfere in any way with, if you want to commit yourself essentially and formally to Srila Prabhupada as your eternal spiritual father, your eternal guru. Does that respond to your question?
It does, and with your response, I'm really connecting with a few things, how Jesus, you know, was born into a Catholic family, and you know, Jesus I could say Jesus has been my guru, and and then my experience with this group. One evening I was reading from some weeks ago I was reading from the Bhagavad Gita, and I was reading this purport, and I all of a sudden had this memory of a book that I read when I was staying at that house for a retreat. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I could fully explain the logic behind this, but I had this feeling of urgency, like I need to find that book. I need to find that book. I need to look at it, the contents. And so I found it online, and it was a book by I believe it was by Krishnamurti, and I believe and it was about controlling being the master of the senses. Like it was a very small book, but I was having memories of reading it, and just little memories of the book, and I just what I connected with in that moment was that Prabhupada was leading me to him. Like through my experience there, through reading that book, like it was all me being led to Prabhupada. And I just had this, I was like in a puddle on the floor. Like I was like crying. I was like, I sat on the floor. I just spoke to Prabhupada. I was like, you led me here. Like I had this huge, just big realization, and it was from this book at this other place. So yeah, I think that I'm understanding, like what's my in my own way, with my own experience, I'm understanding what that experience was for, and how it supported me.
How it's bringing you to your personal relationship with Prabhupada as your eternal spiritual master, and that the book by Krishnamurti, the guru in England, that it's all been part of your journey, and you're grateful for that, and you can see that Prabhupada and Krishna, they've been guiding you along the way in ways that have been largely unseen.
Yes. Thank you.
Rebecca, thanks for sharing. Jendra? Did you want to say something? Or you just happen to be on unmute? Hare Krishna. Thank you. Any other comments? Sharing, questions, realization?
Hare Krishna. Oh, Anandini, go ahead.
No, you go, Ladini.
No, you go. I'm sure that it will be more beneficial if you share.
No, I don't think so. I'll share afterward, after you.
So I'm like wondering about this, formal initiation is not essential. I think I understand that, but also not but, and also I think that there is like, at least in my experience, and which is very limited, I think the formal initiation is quite important also. Like Rimachandra Prabhu said, it's about the commitment. So of course I can be committed without like having a fire sacrifice and like that. But also like two months ago or so, we read in Chaitanya Charitamrita Srila Prabhupada saying how important it is to change the name during the initiation. And then I read the very same thing in Srimad Bhagavatam, that like it's important to change the name. And yeah, so I feel like that, like the formal initiation, like of course, like in many circles, the formal initiation is like overestimated, and like maybe like put like the only importance on it. At the same time, I feel like even now, like I have like such a hard time. Like I mean, I'm in this place of like not understanding how is it happening that I'm chanting 16 rounds, because it's kind of like having the life on its own. And I feel like this, like the sacred vow of the formal initiation is like a big part of it. Sometimes I really like feel like the connection with Srila Prabhupada through that formal initiation, there is like some magic, like magic strengthening. And it doesn't, I'm not saying that it cannot happen without the formal initiation. At the same time, what I'm thinking is like, why would someone who like sincerely wants to follow Srila Prabhupada and is committed to the path, like why would someone like would reject that formal initiation? And I'm not saying like, okay, there is no opportunity or something like that, but like what would be like even the reason to say like, well, I don't want this. it's not necessary. I don't know, it just like feels like a natural, I don't want to say progress because it's not necessarily a progress, but like a natural step.
It's a natural step. Yeah, well, Ladini, I appreciate and agree with and resonate with all of what you shared, and I'm glad you shared it, because I know sometimes when I speak, it's like a philosophical point that the formal initiation, it's not essential, and that's a true philosophical point, and I stress it a lot because in certain sectors, the formal initiation, it's become politicized, it's become about money, it's just, we don't need to talk about that. But that's why I talk about it's really not essential, and I emphasize the essence of initiation. At the same time, for almost everyone, the formal initiation is important. And I like where you went with your sharing, Ladini, because okay, if we're really committed to this process of Krishna consciousness, why wouldn't we agree to commit formally in a formal ceremony? Are we avoiding commitment that could really empower us to make quantum jumps? And so there is power, there's potency in the formal initiation ceremony. And if someone's truly committed, then and following, why wouldn't they? And there could be some who have good reasons why they wouldn't. And it's not for me to enter into the psychology of everyone, but for the most part, those are just very good points you make, and thanks for making them. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Ladini Shakti. Anandini.
I appreciate this conversation a lot. And I was going to say, I grew up Christian and I got baptized. So I got a kind of initiation from Jesus. And for me, there was a time when I felt like, oh, it's like I'm disloyal to Jesus if I follow Srila Prabhupada. But now I see, I still appreciate Jesus very much. He's still my teacher, and it's Jesus who led me to Srila Prabhupada. So I wanted to express that to Rebecca. And then, yeah, and then and another point is that for me it's very important to trust my experience. And I know it's tricky to trust ourselves. We can cheat ourselves. We have blind spots and all of that. But at the same time, like if I look at my path, it's very important that I trust my experience, because otherwise I can give up now. I could give up now. I'm not, like when yesterday someone asked me, who's your guru? And I said, oh, Srila Prabhupada. And he said, oh no, I mean, who initiated you? I said, Srila Prabhupada. Oh, but who conducted the fire sacrifice? Nalini Kanta. Oh, but who gave you the name? And I was like, oh, is it so complicated? And so if I don't trust my experience, and my experience is that I am progressing in some way, and if I don't trust that, then I'm just lost with anyone who asks a question. I get confused or insecure, or
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, trusting your experience, and but from your experience, there's nothing complicated. Oh, who's my guru? Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, I endeavor to serve A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And then these other questions come from some other place. And so yeah, and so trusting our experience, it's an essential aspect of conscious living, special aspect of Krishna consciousness. Now, I mean, philosophically, our experience does not supersede Shastra, Shabda Brahman, descending knowledge. Like, but in what you just shared, your experience is completely aligned and supportive of the full range of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So As you say, sure, we sometimes it's necessary to check my experience because I can have blind spots, with Shastra, what does Prabhupada say? At this time, though, like what you're sharing, that your experience supports, aligns, and strengthens the full understanding we get from Srila Prabhupada. And so, yeah, it's almost like to hear you describe, it's almost painful to hear, for me to hear, because like such, where are such questions coming from? Like kind of the way you describe it. And I feel pretty safe that I'm understanding because I've had a few thousands of those experiences too, if I look back over the decades. But it's kind of like, look, I need to try to put you in some box. And the answers you're giving aren't helping me to put you in some box, so I don't need to relate to you based on who you are and based on my experience and your experience.
This like question of who performed their fire sacrifice is really amazing. It's like when I got married with Yogeshwara Yendra at that time, it's like if people ask me who conducted your marriage ceremony, I'm like, I don't even remember. Like it was like a stranger. I saw that person once, came to like from the government, whatever, to do that. It's just like what a question. Like it's such an, I don't know, it's such an essential question.
Thanks for that comparison. And yeah, and like if I choose to answer philosophically, I want to be able to, and I might say something like the essence of the process of initiation, according to Srila Prabhupada, is the spiritual master giving transcendental knowledge to the heart of the disciple, and the disciple qualifies himself to receive such knowledge through humbly performing service for the spiritual master's mission. So the main Vaishnava from whom I directly receive that transcendental knowledge, that's Srila Prabhupada. And so it's true, so many people, so many Vaishnavas have been an important part of my process of initiation. And the main Vaishnava in my process of initiation is Srila Prabhupada. He's my current and direct link to the Parampara. So I might not choose to answer philosophically all the time, but I want to be able to. Bhaktin Ann.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much for recognizing me. I was getting triggered by this conversation, and I had a friend of mine who helped me pick up a beautiful painting of Prabhupada, and she was also trying to understand why he was my spiritual master. And she could see during my excitement to go pick up this painting, and she helped me to go to do this, that I was dancing and singing and joyful. And finally, she kept saying, I hear you saying Papa. She's like, I'm not hearing Prabhupada. She was having difficulties in saying Prabhupada's name. So she said, he's your Papa. And I was like, that to me was so endearing to say, yes, he is my Papa who I am following because I feel like a child following my father. And so serving the disciple of, Krishna, I am endeavoring to be a child of God through the purest servant I know is Prabhupada. And so that's how I answer my question now, because that really touched my heart and she understood that. So it's just bringing tears to my eyes now. So I just wanted to share that.
That's very moving, very, very sweet, very moving. I'm inspired in because, I'm hearing Srila Prabhupada and Super Soul in your heart inspired you to know just how to communicate to that friend of yours. They inspired you to know perfectly how to communicate to her, and she got your special affection with your Papa, Srila Prabhupada. And like her mispronunciation is this is a beautiful, perfect arrangement. I'm very moved by your sharing.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, I wanted to share like what I personally take from the discussion, it's really moved me. Feel some weeds were trimmed there, and what I take from that is how fanaticism is another excuse to avoid really the spiritual master, avoid the interpersonal connection with the devotees, and avoid the essence of like why we taking the sacrifice. Because I mean, the human form of life is one big sacrifice by itself.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Wow, good recording.